times I've been feeling lonely. Pop me perks, all good or oldie. It's only with me, nobody can. It's only with me, nobody can clone me. Everybody.
Martin Luther King, who all had major flaws, which got me thinking, are there any musicians who most people love that were actually bad people? And very quickly I realized that you and I were in for quite the ride. So join me today as we look into great musicians who weren't the greatest people. Okay. Everyone knows Elvis, and there's no denying his
bro,
impact on
nigga,
music.
I already know he was a dirtbag, okay, guys? Everyone always used to say, oh, Elvis is the king of pop rock. Oh, he's so cool, nigga. And me, I would always be arguing, like, or like the greatest artist to live and shit. Like, niggas out here in Quebec love this nigga. And like, I'm always dying on the hill of Michael Jackson, you know? And niggas, and I'm like, Michael didn't do no fucked up shit like him. I'm sure he called niggas hard R's. I'm sure he's done all of that.
History, so there's really no introduction needed here. But what a lot of people don't know is that he had some much darker sides of his life, many of which were shown in his 2022 biopic, which I thought was a bad movie, by the way. I wasn't a fan at all. Why was Doja Cat on that soundtrack? I don't get it. Regardless, his dark side might
Hating on the movie because of the soundtrack is crazy, but okay.
be a little shocking, especially since it kind of flips the charming image of Elvis that many of us
Yeah,
have
exactly. No, there's other artists that are living proof that experience and seen this shit right now, like that are living. There's people that are living right now that have seen and experienced or whatever.
much more sinister. First of all, Elvis
on some Epstein shit.
Notoriously met his
but
wife.
Obviously not on some Epstein shit, but I'm saying like niggas we remember, like, you know what I mean? Like on some it's not erasable shit.
Priscilla when she was only 14 years old, and this was in 1959 during his time in the army while stationed in Germany. At that point, he was already 24, so not only was there a 10-year age gap, but it was especially disturbing. Despite the disgusting age difference, this didn't stop Elvis from making some questionable advances, and it didn't end there. Elvis and Priscilla officially decided to pursue a relationship, which eventually went long distance when he returned back to
any bitch named Priscilla in the chat? Show yourself. We're banning you.
After leaving Germany, the two didn't see each other face to face until 3 years later in 1962. They started talking regularly over the phone, and then in 1967,
because you like that shit. We're banning you because you like that shit. Yo, Glow, I'm not gonna lie. Niggas don't even care because y'all niggas don't smoke. But bro, I have like 2 of the biggest bags of weed. Like nigga, I got 2 big ass bags of weed. Nigga, like I'm really blessed and shit. Like that shit gonna last me like the whole year. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna save it for the subathon for sure. I need to do something with this weed, guys. Like I have so much weed, we need to do something with it. Something interesting. Like roll fucking cross joints or some shit. I don't know.
Throughout the already unethical and illegal relationship, Elvis was never really exclusive and constantly cheated on her, which led to their 1973 divorce.
I just kind of followed, you know, what he did. I mean, you lived his life. You honestly didn't have your own life. You lived his life.
But Elvis's tirades didn't end there, specifically because Priscilla was far from the only
Glow, don't worry,
girl he had his eyes on. During the height of his fame, Elvis
arts and crafts with design, yeah, nigga. And then we put like bits and shit. I'm gonna make it so that bits can make me smoke or something.
Abused his power to
because we missed 420, you know, but it's okay, nigga.
Manipulate young impressionable fans wherever he went.
Wait, I think it would be a bigger deal if I did a 420 stream not on 420 anyway, you know, like it would get more traction.
Joel Williamson, author of Elvis Presley: A Southern Life, claimed that 2 years before Elvis met his future wife, he took a group of 3 14-year-old girls with him on tour who were up for pillow fights, tickling, kissing, and
you see what I'm saying? No, do you see the logic,
sir? The fame and the money and the power and the drugs.
Guys, is it fucked up that none of this Elvis story is surprising me though? Is it fucked up? Wait.
Child left behind.
Okay, let me shut the fuck up. What the fuck? It's not funny. It's not funny.
Wife. He took a group of 3 4.
You know, one thing I appreciate about stream though is like when I'm alone, I'll just watch a video like this and just be sad the whole time. But with you guys, like That's why I make it funny. Even though it's not a funny matter, I just try to keep things cheery.
14-year-old girls with him on tour who were
Unless
up
it's
for
really
pillow
too
fights,
serious.
tickling, kissing, and cuddling. And you might think that the fame and the money and the power and the drugs corrupted him, but apparently
Also,
Elvis
if it's
was
someone
always
I don't
kinda
give a
weird.
fuck
Back
about.
when he was 19, before the musical success, Williamson said elsewhere in his book that Elvis had a 15-year-old
Like,
girlfriend when he was 19.
Elvis is the reason why when we hear a white, like Bing Crosby singing, we think that like that's white singing. When in reality, them niggas, black niggas were forced to sing like that first, okay? And then them niggas learned from us. Literally. Literally. They used to force niggas and be like, yo, you're singing with an accent. We don't like that shit. Talk like us. I'm just saying, I don't mean to get so deep, but like, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like the complete opposite of Michael. Like, bro. Anyways, I'm not trying to do that battle, but y'all know me, bro.
And that the singer was obsessed with virginity. And his issues with women aren't just about
Obsessed
their age,
with
because he also seemed
virginity?
to treat them pretty poorly. Elvis was a manipulator who was extremely controlling, and his abuse
Brother, it's not that hard to roleplay that. Like, why the fuck do you need to, like, it's not that hard to have. Yo, clearly he did not have a good imagination, chat. Because you could easily roleplay that. Okay, bro? That's not something, like, that's crazy to roleplay, for one, with people that are of age. But it is crazy to go after that, I feel like. Because chances are that person is really young. Like, what 30-year-old virgin do you know?
wasn't just mental, and he'd often resort to violence. He met Ginger Alden when she was 20 and he
Yo,
was
chat, if
41.
there's
She was a
any
pageant
virgins
queen
in my
hoping to
chat,
marry the
yo,
star.
any virgin in my chat that's 30 years old, we need to plan a way to fly you out here and get you some pussy. ASAP. You're 30 years old in my chat with no pussy gang? I promise I'm gonna find a way. We gonna find a way, nigga.
But their relationship
fuck?
had some pretty problematic roots. His treatment of her was horrible, and the couple constantly argued during
Bro,
their time
because if
together.
I can
After
get
one
pussy, guys, I was the shyest nigga like throughout all my life. And streaming is really like the only time where like I started becoming more open in general and where I'm like this open. So like if I can get pussy, y'all niggas can't. Plans for 21 soon to be 22-year-olds. Wait, what? No. I was saying 30-year-olds. I wasn't talking about that. Are non-virgins allowed? You're hilarious. Well, you're already in Canada, Glow. That would low-key be cheap. I think I just need a bigger place. Like, I'm not gonna fly someone out here and not have enough space for them. But when I get a bigger place, it'll be more doable, Glow. You can definitely visit me.
particularly bad fight, Elvis allegedly asked one
people
of his
can
assistants
definitely
to
visit
pop
me
the tires on her
eventually.
car so she couldn't leave his home. And on another occasion, when she
It's
was
gonna
able
be
to
a
get
while,
away
but
after a fight,
yeah.
it was alleged that he fired a gunshot at her. While the two were engaged to be married, their toxic relationship never quite made it that far. And resorting to violence was something that Priscilla had to deal with as well. In her 1985 memoir, Priscilla detailed a bunch of problematic behaviors from Elvis. She described instances where he would give her pills to help her sleep or relax. But in retrospect, many have started to speculate if the pills were all a part of his master plan of control and manipulation. Some reports even go as far to claim that Elvis spiked Priscilla with amphetamines to keep
Yo, bro. Every girl I have dated took more drugs than me. I'm not gonna lie. They may not have smoked. No, they all smoked actually. But besides weed, I'm talking about like pills and all that, like from the doctor and shit. They be taking those. They be quote unquote needing those.
her awake for marathon
So that nigga is fucked up. I'm not gonna lie. That means he was really the one. He was one of them ones, bro. He was Bill Cosby and bitches before that was a thing, bro.
sex sessions. Apparently, he was first introduced to amphetamines in the military and he became severely addicted. And after these drug-fueled sex sessions, Elvis is also said to have taken photographs on a Polaroid camera, which he stored in a silver suitcase delivered to Priscilla after his death, years after their divorce, which is a very weird move, to say the least. On top of all of this, Elvis also
Yeah, he's a weirdo.
had some pretty rough racism allegations. More recently, legendary producer Quincy Jones revealed that he always refused working with Elvis because he was racist. Quincy
Black men that were early in the fucking whitest industry of our lifetime, okay, bro? In the most racist industry at that time. I don't know how it is now. It's probably still racist, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, hard R's left and right. Go get out of my face, you, like, bro, you couldn't do nothing.
explained, no, I wouldn't work with him. I was writing for orchestra leader Tommy Dorsey. Oh god, back in the 50s, and Elvis came in, and Tommy said,
Like, you have to be a real bad man. I'm not
I
gonna
want to
lie.
play with him. He was a racist motherfucker. I'm gonna shut up now. And depictions of Elvis being racist don't only come from Quincy either. Public Enemy's Fight the Power includes lyrics which read, Elvis was a hero to most, but he never meant shit to me. Straight up racist that sucker was, simple and plain. On top of this,
What other proof do you need? Why the fuck would Run DMC, a early rap group, before there was like name calling and shouting out niggas and dissing niggas? He's not even a rapper. He's not even a gangster. And a gangster is going out of his way to shout him, not even shout him out, to diss him in a song. Like we don't need any more proof. Yeah, I know, Glow. I'm living, bro. We live in Canada. I'm sure you can go knock like on 1 in every 5 people loves Elvis, bro. White people. Okay, bro? I'm sorry. I feel like that. Like, I know in Quebec, at least, it's like that, gang. They love that shit.
he undeniably had some big appropriation issues. I mean, it's pretty well known that he sort of just stole his sound. And in combination with everything else we do know,
I always used to say that, and people used to call me delusional, saying he stole his sound, bro. I'm telling you. This
for
nigga
sure,
didn't
about
even
the
do
content of his
nothing.
character, I don't think anyone would be
And he
all
wore
that
the
surprised
ugliest
if that was
suits.
the case.
His suits
And
aren't
it may
even
not
good.
be too surprising to
They're
hear
so
that
ugly.
a white guy like Elvis back then was racist, but I was in disbelief when I heard allegations of James Brown being racist too. James Brown was a legendary musician who arguably trailblazed the funk music genre
Okay,
and
let's see
influenced
this.
countless others throughout his career. His successes have led to a bunch of nicknames
Only
like
thing I heard about James Brown was that he beat a woman. Okay, that's the only thing I heard, and he was on blow and all that. I don't know
Mr.
about
Dynamite, the hardest working man in show business, minister of new super heavy funk, the godfather of soul, the king of soul, and many more. And let's be honest, to have that many dope nicknames, you've got to be pretty iconic. In his over
this. And honestly, Elvis stole the King of Rock from him. Honestly, kind of the same shit.
50-year-long career, James Brown completely changed music, but his massive success wasn't without controversy. This Redditor puts it plainly,
In my
saying,
opinion.
I love James Brown, but he was an awful human. And this sentiment isn't really all that rare either, with some fans twisting one of his most iconic nicknames into the hardest working asshole in show business. While James' music and lyrics are undeniably and crucially connected to progress and civil rights, apparently his relationship to the black people he touched most directly, those who worked for him, was cruel, petty, and
I just drank water.
contemptuous. Some former employees, like journalist Glenn Ford, even go as far to say that Mr. Brown held only one black person in high regard, himself. According to Glenn Ford, I guess James Brown was moving like Uncle Ruckus. To be fair though, this is the only source that I'm seeing claim this, so take the racist allegations he has with a grain of salt, but it is true that Glenn works for him and he was a respected journalist, so it could be very possible.
As far as I'm concerned, no one said he. Why didn't he say, "Oh, he called me a hard R"? How was he racist if all he did was disrespect his own people? That doesn't make him racist. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to defend any kind of fucked up behavior, chat. But
And we
I don't
beat these
know.
folk. Whoop-de-doo, we beat them.
I don't have work today. We can Pokemon Go earlier. Celebratory gesture emoji. Celebratory gesture emoji.
Okay. Okay.
Which again is quite shocking to hear from many fans, especially considering the often direct titles of his songs, like his 1968 hit, Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud. However, like I mentioned with takes from some critics, while James lifted up black Americans en masse, those around him definitely had a very different experience. Glenn said that when James was around, his employees were often expected to treat him in a near godlike way, having a whole welcoming ritual planned every time he arrived. On top of this, if each employee didn't speak formally to each other, like with Mr., Mrs., or Miss, it was a fireable offense. And it wasn't just lower members of his organization that felt extreme
And we
pressure.
beat these
Even
folk.
members of his
Whoop-de-doo.
band
Why
We
did
beat
it
'em.
send twice?
You, hurrah. You, hurrah. You,
and faced
you,
wild punishments,
you,
including things like
hurrah.
mowing the lawn at his radio stations to pay off
And we beat
fines
these
imposed
folk.
by James.
Whoop-de-doo, we beat them.
you.
I did it once. I didn't do it twice.
You, hurrah.
I don't know why I
you,
does it twice.
you,
It's fucking weird. But anyways,
You,
I
hurrah.
just wanted to see if it worked.
During a civil rights-related boycott in his adopted hometown of Augusta, Georgia, where he also owned a major radio station that
Guys, I
Glenn
actually
worked
need to
at,
stop
there were
biting my
some-
nails because I actually stopped. That's why they're so long. Like for the last 3 months, I have not been biting my nails. I've just been cutting them and shit.
And we beat these folk. Whoop-de-doo, we beat
So
them.
I need to stop
Väg
doing
ju
that.
fyra boki webbhaiga på väg vårt have you be.
I don't even know where to start.
weird decisions that were made. Glenn stated
Yo,
that
Jay, what's good? How you doing? How you doing? How's everything?
James donated $600 to the bail fund, his efforts behind the scenes painted a completely different picture. On day one of the boycott, Glenn was set to promote it as one of the main mouthpieces of support, but James left a note around his microphone that he saw the next morning that said, "There will be no mention of the downtown merchants boycott on this radio station."
Dio, if you're still in here, we can go to the fucking grocery store after to get butter.
This order kind of killed the movement, and one that James' employees believes was intentional, choosing advertisers over his own people. Again, this chunk of information is mostly from Glenn Ford, so take it all with a grain of salt, but it is very fascinating if true. And it might not be too hard to believe considering the other wrongdoings he's been accused of. James Brown was known to have abused drugs and alcohol throughout his life, which led to even worse abuses of his own wives and partners, which has been well documented.
Maybe he was just a whack person, though. I don't think he was racist. I think he was just a whack person, guys. Yes, and I have to fill up the gas. Yeah, okay, bet. Oh. I meant walk there, but yeah. Sure.
With James' first wife, Velma Warren, not much has been publicly documented about his treatment of her. With his second wife, Deirdre Jenkins, James' daughters described a hellish relationship. They described the abuse like thunder rolling through the house when their mom was thrown against walls. Then when silence came was the worst part, as the daughters wondered if it meant their own mom was killed. In one graphic scene, they describe witnessing James on top of their mom with punching her hard with blood everywhere. And these are only a couple of the alleged stories. With James' third wife, Adrienne Rodriguez, similar allegations were mentioned. Adrienne reported that on one occasion, James beat her with an iron pipe and even shot at her car, which led to his arrest in 1988, and similar circumstances leading to 3 other arrests for assault as well. And then to clear up the air, he decided to do this really entertaining interview.
How did all of this trouble begin?
I'm not gonna lie, guys. My grandfather looks kind of like James Brown.
Living in America. There's nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong at all. You're not in any difficulty, but you're out on bond.
No, I'm not.
Have all the charges been dropped?
Yeah, I'm out on love. Alone from night to night, you find me.
Now, James, this isn't the first time you and your wife have had a problem. Are the two of
I think I saw this.
you going to be able to...
Obviously not live, but I saw this.
And we beat these folk.
I saw
What
this
do?
clip
We
when
beat
I
'em.
was younger, for sure. And then also I seen the clip when he died on Christmas. I saw that live. When he died on Christmas, I was there. I was there when he died on Christmas watching the news because my grandfather watches the news while he cooks. And he was making dinner and shit. And yeah.
work this out?
Let's talk about some music.
You want to talk about music, and you don't want to talk about what happened.
No, it's all over.
Well, let's talk about your tour. When are you leaving?
No, I think that James Brown, like, how many people have died on Christmas? And who are the people that have died on Christmas? That's what I want to know. Is there a correlation?
Things got so bad that around the 1995 arrest, Adrienne was
How'd
hospitalized,
you die on
but
Christmas?
the charges were dropped since that next year
Nah,
she
he was
passed
funny
away
as
from
fuck.
surgery complications, which of course also spawned a bunch of conspiracies. Then comes his fourth wife, Tommy Heine, who again had some dark relations with James.
He liked
She
the
alleged
mi-
that
he
on
liked
one
the
occasion,
mill.
James pushed her to the floor and threatened her with a chair, which led to an arrest, and he actually even pled guilty / no contest, but instead of any jail time, James was only slapped with a fine.
He
And
was
abusive
dating
patterns
fucking
like these
Jessica Bunny or Jessica Rabbit, nigga. Jesus was born on Xmas. Yeah, I know that. I know that. I'm saying, was there anyone else, like, besides James Brown on Earth that we know of that died on news or some shit? I don't know, on Christmas, like, you know? How could this motherfucker fumble so many hot women? What do you mean how? He was beating them. That's how, nigga. Woman's only gonna take so much, and even then, like, why would you put hands on a woman? But you know what I'm saying? Even the dumbest woman's not gonna take that forever, bro.
Reported by other girlfriends of James as well, making it seemingly unlikely that all of the spouses could just be going for money. On top of all these horrible actions, James was also accused of in 2005 when his former
Yeah, he
publicist,
was born on Christmas.
Jacques Hollander, filed a lawsuit against him, all stemming from a 1988 incident where Jacques alleges he assaulted her while holding her at shotgun point. But since the case was brought up beyond the statute of limitations and other legal reasons, it was dismissed. So with all these
Would you let her peg you? Because that's what that would entail, Glow.
reported mistreatments of employees, spouses, and everyone in between, it's safe to assume James Brown probably wasn't the best guy. But James Brown is only one person, as it's pretty crazy to think about the fact that two of the Beatles were both abusive. John Lennon and Ringo Starr are both some of the biggest musicians in the world and are most notably members of the Beatles. John in particular got a massive amount of love from fans, and he's remembered especially because of his tragic murder. And because of this, many people sort of forget about the darker side of his legacy, which is honestly a little bit surprising because he doesn't seem to really hide it too much in his music. In his song Getting Better, John openly sings about being a neglectful and even abusive husband and father. The lyrics read, "I used to be cruel to my woman, I beat her and kept her apart from the things that she loved." And this wasn't a one-off mention either. In John's most comprehensive interview, which was conducted with Playboy in 1980, right before his death, he said, "All that, I used to be cruel to my woman, I beat her and kept her apart from the things that she loved, was me. I used to be cruel to my woman, and physically, any woman. I was a hitter. I couldn't express myself and I hit. I fought men and I hit women. That is why I am always on about peace, you see? It is the most violent people who go for love and peace. Everything's the opposite, but I sincerely believe in love and peace. I'm a violent man who has learned not to be violent and regrets his violence. I will have to be a lot older before
No, he's delusional. Guys, if you like peace, it does not mean you're a violent person. What the fuck is he talking about?
and face in public how I treated women as a youngster." And John spoke in many other occasions about his past violence, detailing his issues with alcohol and how it made him violent to the point where he thought he almost killed those he fought on multiple occasions. To be as objective as possible, I don't think John hit women like super regularly. At least that's the argument I see his fans making.
I don't give
but
a fuck.
hitting women in general is wrong, and
No, I don't give a fuck. No. I don't. No. There's no way you just hit one woman and you don't. What the fuck, nigga? No.
Many of
That's
these
not how that
controversies are
works.
scattered throughout his discography, like with the earlier mentioned songs and more, including The Ballad of John and Yoko and Cold Turkey, where he discussed his life and struggles with heroin. And instead of hiding his mistakes, it's interesting that he instead chose to sing about them. In a similar situation, fellow Beatle Ringo Starr is also guilty of being abusive. After drinking too much and cheating on his first wife Maureen regularly, he got divorced. He even referred to himself as a drunk, a wife beater, and an absent father. After they were divorced, he eventually remarried to a lady named Barbara. There are very few sources except for one book on this, so again, take this with a grain of salt, but it seems to be common knowledge among Beatles fans, especially on Reddit. Regardless, in a book by Andrew Grant Jackson called Still the Greatest, The Essential Songs of the Beatles' Solo Careers, the author writes, "By the late 1980s, Starr was blacking out often and getting violent. He later said, I came to one Friday afternoon and was told by the staff that I had trashed the house so badly they thought there had been burglars. And I'd trashed Barbara so badly they thought she was dead. Eventually he sobered up and remained with her, but this trend that many of these artists have of getting high or drunk and then hitting their wives is pretty crazy to me. Never once have I been on any substance and felt the need to hit my girl, so I don't think there's really any justifying this, as some diehard fans.
Your true self. Exactly. Glow. Like,
may
what the
suggest.
fuck?
And for a lot of these
Weird,
people, a lot of
bro.
these incidents were towards the end of
Fucking
it.
weird, bro. If anything, guys, drugs makes me lack, okay, guys? Like drugs and alcohol, all that shit, it makes me lack, okay, bro? I'm less likely to do it if I'm on these shits. And it's not even like it will stop me or anything. I'm just saying, like, I'm more alert when I'm, you know what I'm saying? And even then, I'm even less like, nigga, there's just no universe where that would happen. I don't understand. I just don't understand the way they think because I'm not like them. You know what I mean? Like, I think they're just sociopaths. That's why you can't understand the way they think.
Their careers. So it's tough to say how successful they would have been had these allegations come out sooner. But Dr. Dre, despite there being a mound of evidence for him being
There's no
abusive,
logic.
somehow managed to become one of the few billionaires to come from hip-hop. Dr. Dre is among many of the most recognized
his wife,
names in
probably.
hip-hop, and this is for multiple reasons, including his involvement with Beats
What did he
Headphones,
do?
Death Row Records, NWA, and plenty of other massive projects. The point is, we all know who Dr. Dre is to a degree, but what I guess most people don't seem to know is his dark side. Throughout his long, multi-decade spanning career in the music industry, Dr. Dre has been accused of multiple incidents of violence against women. In 1991, at a music industry party, Dr. Dre assaulted television host Dee Barnes following an episode of her show Pump It Up. In the episode, Dee interviewed NWA as well as Ice Cube separately, where he kind of proceeded to mock NWA. This upset Dr. Dre, so for some reason he approached Dee, the interviewer, picked her up by her hair and ear, then proceeded to slam her head and body into the wall. When she fell to the ground, he continued kicking her in her ribs and stomping on her fingers. As she tried to escape, she went to the bathroom bedroom, but Dre kicked open the door and struck her multiple times in the back of the head. For even more context, she was 5'3" and Dr. Dre's 6'1", so kind of crazy. As a result, D filed a $22 million lawsuit against Dre. He was also fined, given 2 years of probation, ordered to undergo 240 hours of community service, and was forced to speak out against violence on TV. While the suit was...
Dre is so rich, guys. This was when he was young, and he's still a rich, and he became a billionaire still after taking a hit like that. I'm not trying to glaze him, but he's a rich ass nigga. What the fuck?
Settled out of court. Dre's response to the situation was pretty shocking. Instead of apologizing, he said, "People talk..."
That's not all I took out of that, by the way. He's very fucked up, okay? I know.
Talk all this shit, but you know, somebody f***ed with me, I'm gonna f*** with them. I just did it, you know? Ain't nothing you can do now by talking about it. Besides, it ain't no big thing. I just threw her through a door. But Dre's abuse of women didn't end there. Later on in 2015, Michelle, the mother of one of his kids, accused him of domestic violence during their time together, but did not take legal action. Unlike Dre's incident with D, his abuse of Michelle lasted years while they were together. Wow. According to Michelle, it resulted in 5 black eyes and a bunch of other scars throughout her body.
So you were getting punched in the face and then...
Oh, I was getting dragged on the floor, shot at, yeah.
Shot at?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What the fuck? What the fuck? I was so locked in. I was like, yeah. I'm like, yeah.
Action. Unlike Dre's incident with D, his abuse of Michelle lasted years while they were together. According to Michelle, it resulted in 5 black eyes and a bunch of other scars throughout her body.
I'm like, oh.
So you were getting punched in the face and then...
Oh, I was getting dragged on the floor, shot at, yeah.
Shot at?
Yeah. And I guess I don't know what I always did. And I always say, well, it could have been just me. So one day one night we was arguing, he went and got the gun. And I just made it through the bathroom door and a shot. And he shot at me and he missed me by that much.
Imagine... Okay, guys, I'm gonna have to take out my cam for this question. Imagine what she sounds like during sex. Okay, let me stop. I'm sorry. Wait, I'm not allowed to mock her just because she's been through something? I'm allowed to make fun of her aside from this situation. She sounds like that even if this didn't happen to her. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm allowed to make a joke of that. Her voice would be like that regardless. No, you did not. It was a joke. I'm sorry.
Abusive patterns like this caused Michelle to leave on multiple occasions, but they always seemed to get back together. All the while, his assaults continued, and on top of that, he was constantly cheating to the point where he got multiple other women pregnant. And adding another layer, Michelle was dating Dre when he attacked D, which is just insane. However, the run of abuse doesn't end there, as another one of Dre's baby mamas, Lisa Johnson, stated that Dre beat her many times, including while she was pregnant, and eventually she was granted—
She sounds like a fake ass bitch to me. I'm sorry, I could never be dating someone like that. What the fuck? That shit would be annoying. Even if she's a real ass nigga, or like she's not fake, like I don't know, I can't take that voice. It's like how you would imagine, you know, when you go on a prank call, you're like, oh, I'm a girl. Hello, my name is Jessica. I'm a girl. She sounds like that. It's fucking stupid. Why the fuck she sound like that, gang?
A restraining order against him. In combination with the other accusations, former label mate Terry B claimed Dre assaulted her at a party as well in response to one of her tracks. Eventually, the accusations started to get so big that Dre had to address them. So he did so during his press run for Straight Outta Compton. He said, "I made some fucking horrible mistakes in my life. I was young, fucking stupid. I would say all the allegations aren't true, but some of them are. Those are some of the things that I would like to take back. It was really fucked up, but I paid for those mistakes, and there's no way in hell that I will ever make another mistake like that again." And he would repeat this sentiment for years in following interviews, but it was received with little sincerity from those he abused. Unlike Dr. Dre, though, XXXTentacion's violent allegations were part of what fueled his rise. I mean, he was bragging about fighting the Migos at his peak.
The Migos, straight up. Look at this shit. Y'all niggas had the chance to kill me. How you had fire and ain't shoot me? Quavo, Offset.
How you had fire and they shoot me? Nigga's face is all swollen and he's saying this. Yo, X is tough as fuck. I'm not gonna lie. He tough as fuck. Rest in peace, bro.
That pussy, what's it called? Lift off? Lift off. Fuck all y'all pussy ass niggas. All y'all.
So it's no surprise that X had a very—
Nigga said lift off.
troubled past before his untimely death. XXXTentacion had one of the fastest rises to the mainstream that we've seen in a while, and while his run lasted pretty short because of his murder, he amassed a large cult following that even through his public controversy stood by him. So X has been in a ton of controversies, so I'm gonna try to get the main ones out of the way, but there's a lot here, so I may miss a thing or two. First though is his juvenile issues, because before turning 18 he had charges for drugs, rape,
it's a dark vibe,
and was even fined $86 for attempting to commit suicide by running into oncoming traffic. But these are far from the worst things he was accused of doing. In 2016, Ski Mask got into an argument with Tables, which was his and X's manager at the time. Ski stormed out and later called X while drunk and lied, telling him that Tables had taken thousands of dollars from X. Later in the day, X and some others broke into Tables' apartment. He then proceeded to threaten Tables with a knife and by some accounts accidentally stabbed him during the confrontation. Then X and his crew left, taking Tables' laptop with him. Surprisingly, Tables said he would drop all the charges as long as the laptop was returned, claiming he didn't want to ruin X's life over one bad decision. And Tables kept his word, and X paid for all Tables' hospital bills, so I guess they were good. Days after being released on bail from the stabbing, X was arrested and charged with robbery, assault with a deadly weapon, and home invasion, all from an incident which took place the year prior. During the incident, X allegedly pistol whipped the homeowner 3 times.
Well, I mean, I could see accidentally being if you press the knife on him, but it's still stupid.
And left with an iPad, an iPhone, a Sony PSP, and $20. In the end, X pleaded no contest and was sentenced to a whopping 6 years of probation. And then came the more serious issues.
Because he was young.
Trial in early October
young niggas is not thinking
X was
about
arrested
that.
again later that month on charges of aggravated battery of a pregnant woman, domestic battery, and false imprisonment. Well, at first this relatively hadn't blown up into that big of a story, things changed a lot after Pitchfork leaked the testimony of the alleged victim. X pled not guilty and even denied the allegations in multiple interviews, but the details were scathing nonetheless. The victim delivered over 2.5 hours of testimony, which resulted in 142 pages of transcription describing the dark patterns of abuse. If you're a fan of X, you're very familiar with this story, and you probably debate whether or not this actually happened, so I'll try to cover this as objectively as possible. Apparently, the two met at one of X's shows, and soon after, he invited her to live with him. The first instance of alleged abuse occurred about 2 weeks after she moved in, when he slapped her and broke her phone because she complimented a male friend. Later that day, X left the room and returned with 2 grilling implements. Effectively as possible. Apparently, the two met at one of X's shows.
It was
soon
okay.
After he invited her to live with him. The first instance of alleged abuse occurred about 2 weeks after she moved in, when he slapped her and broke her phone because she complimented a male friend. Later that day, X left the room and returned with 2 grilling implements, a barbecue pitchfork and a barbecue cleaner, and told her to pick between them because he was going to put one of them in her vagina. She chose
that's what I was saying. I'm sure it was decided.
Told her to undress. He was lightly dragging the tool against her inner thigh.
Because Roblox does that
too. He did not penetrate her with it. Following that initial incident, X began his pattern of violence toward her, and when the couple moved to Orlando, he apparently threatened to kill her almost every day. After one occasion of her humming one of X's friend's verses, he headbutted her, punched her, stomped her, and put her in the bathtub where he continued hitting and kicking her. And she added on, he also wanted to cut out my tongue because I was singing the song. She attempted to flee down the street, but he tackled her, all in all causing her black eyes, a lump on the back of her head, scratch marks and bruises, including a large bruise on her ankle where he stomped her. Throughout their relationship, she alleged that X had broken about 30 plastic clothes hangers on her legs, tried cutting her hair, and even attempted drowning her in the bathtub. Then, while X was in jail for separate charges, she hooked up with another guy and X was upset, obviously. He confronted her about it and proceeded to put a knife to her neck, strangled her, and called her a hoe. Occasions like this apparently happen regularly, with the same disgusting behaviors being repeated over and over again. Apparently, it got really bad when he found out she was pregnant, threatening to kill her and the kid, and beating her to the point where her face was almost unrecognizable. For a little bit, he allegedly held her captive until one night she escaped. Throughout this whole saga of all these accusations against him, X also continued doing PR moves like donating $100,000 to domestic violence causes, and even tried to host an event to support victims, but the whole actual legal trial was extremely complex for a lot of reasons, including public pressure for multiple petitions to free X, and even the victim asking for charges to be dropped and declining to testify. Eventually, after his murder, she still maintained that she didn't want him to receive jail time, and X's lawyer claimed that if X hadn't died and saw the trial through, the worst he'd get is probation. There were also phone calls to his mom that were released after his death where he declined doing everything he was accused of, and the situation was even more complicated when Pitchfork wrote about a secret recording where X allegedly confessed to domestic abuse and other violent crimes.
On October 23rd, 2018, new audio surfaced with the late rapper XXXTentacion admitting to committing multiple violent crimes and threatening to kill his ex.
Until I started her up, bro. But I started her up because she made one mistake and
from there, the whole cycle went down. Now she's scared. That girl is scared for her life.
Later, he says, I will kill that bitch if she play with me.
The issue is, though, because of the editing of the audio clips, it was kind of hard to tell what X really meant with some of the statements he made. However, a bit before the audio was leaked, a Snapchat video of X beating on a girl when he was 15 dropped. His lawyer claimed the video was in jest and not an actual act of aggression, but it made the accusations look a lot more credible than they already were. And since when X died, the case was closed, it's hard to fully validate all of these allegations, but I remember being a fan of his back then, and from what it seemed like, it was true to an extent, and it was kind of hard to rationalize back then, so I feel like probably the same situation now. And while X was a crazy guy all around, Rick James seemed pretty cool and normal until he got some drugs in his system. Rick James was a massively popular singer, songwriter, and record producer. His long career in music was very iconic, with a bunch of albums going gold, and even his project Street Songs going platinum. And if off the top of your head you can't think of a Rick James song, you've definitely heard his hit song Super Freak, which surprisingly didn't win a Grammy, at least until MC Hammer sampled the beat and made his own hit with Can't Touch This. However, one thing about Rick that was, but might not be very well known anymore, is that he suffered from addiction with many different drugs. And these drug habits in turn led to a bunch of erratic occasions and even hospitalizations.
Yeah, I know about Rick James.
Off into drugs then at that time, seriously. And it was like a time in my life when things were happening real fast, and I didn't quite have a serious grip on, on things.
To make matters worse, he had a stroke because of a blood vessel bursting during one of his shows, and then he had a hip replacement surgery, which was in part because of jumping around on stage, and probably because of his substance abuse as well. And this intense drug addiction created problems in more areas of his life than just health. During his era of heavy cocaine usage for about 5 years straight, Rick claims to have spent about $7,000 a week on the drugstore alone. And this rampant drug use inevitably led to a decent amount of crimes as well.
It was a month ago yesterday that Rick James was arrested along with his girlfriend Tanya Hijazi for allegedly imprisoning a 24-year-old woman in his Hollywood Hills home, torturing her allegedly with a hot cocaine pipe and forcing her to commit sexual acts on his girlfriend Tanya Hijazi.
During a binge that lasted around a week, Rick and his girl at the time were arrested on charges of kidnapping a 24-year-old girl and holding her hostage for around 6 days. During this time, they tied her up, forced her to do sexual acts, and burned her legs and abdomen with the hot end of a crack pipe.
According to police, the 25-year-old alleged victim claims she met Rick James and his female companion at a party. She says the trio then returned here to James' Hollywood home. It was on the nights of July 16th and 17th that alleged victim
What is this music in the
virtual
background?
Prisoner here, held at gunpoint, even tied up and tortured, she claims, by being burnt with the hot end of a
worse than
crack
Diddy,
cocaine
honestly.
pipe.
Because of all of these crazy
If Diddy was
things,
doing
Rick
that,
was
he would have been
facing
under
life
the
in
jail.
prison. But instead of taking these charges seriously, a year later, while out on bail, him and his girlfriend kidnapped another girl. The person they kidnapped was a music executive who believed there was a business meeting going down. Following the ordeal, she claimed throughout the 20-hour period that she was held hostage and that Rick and his girl continuously beat her. Eventually, James was found guilty on both occasions, but somehow narrowly avoided the torture charge, which would have been the one that put him away for life. While serving a 5-year sentence, Rick lost a civil suit against the music executive he kidnapped and was forced to pay her almost $2 million. And after serving just 2 years, Rick James was released. In years following, arguably the peak of his criminal activity,
bro,
Rick was
it's
accused
so
twice
weird,
more of
bro.
sex-related crimes, one of which was with a 15-year-old girl, and Rick was being sued for $50 million. But he did end up beating both cases. Then, though, at just 56 years old, Rick was found dead in his home due to supposedly natural causes, although it's kind of hard to see what is so natural about his official death because he did have a lot of drugs in his system. However, the coroner surprisingly said that none of the drugs or drug combinations were found to be at levels that were life-threatening in and of themselves. So it's a shame that Rick...
That doesn't mean that the combination didn't kill him. Because when you take the combination, it boosts, some things boost other things. I'm just saying.
So much drug addiction because of the harm that it ended up causing so many other people. If you like this video, you might like my video about some music videos that were extremely controversial at the time, many of which were banned worldwide. So make sure to click the video that's on screen right now.
Thanks for watching, and make sure you follow the Twitch.